What's up, you guys? Welcome to this week's Manga Sutra Manga review, and in this week's video, we're going to be talking about an historical martial arts drama called Vagabond. Now, Vagabond revolves around the life of sword saint Musashi Miyamoto and his journey as a swordsman. Now, we start off the whole manga with a young man by the name of Takehiko and his friend Matahachi, who go to war to start a name and reputation for themselves. Now, one thing about Vagabond that I like that it has over other martial arts manga in its genre is that it has insane levels of character development and plot. As we see Takezo and Matahachi go throughout their own individual journeys and own life experiences, we see that these two young men develop into two completely different people, and their views of life and the world around them completely changes. Takezo goes on to become Musashi Miyamoto, and he changes from this rash, reckless, very violent young man to this more reserved, calm, mature person. And he begins to learn that sometimes being the best person in your own skill or category or talent isn't necessarily a good thing, and that with certain ranks, titles, and positions comes the pressure to actually hold it. And we see that Musashi begins to refine and also um, control his violent instincts and his violent actions, and that he doesn't actively seek conflict like he used to in the past, and that most of the characters' deaths in this story have been caused because they go up against Musashi of their own accord. As with his friend Matahachi, let's just say for the first 100 or 200 chapters, Matahachi is absolute scum, and his own journey and life experience is just filled with basically self-doubt and reprehensible actions. But in my opinion, if I'm being honest about Matahachi, I feel like if he just applied himself and he applied his swordsmanship skills, and he actually tried, he could become a very talented swordsman. And I think that he sells himself short. But instead, he goes through trickery and he has these self doubts and self loathing moments. And I feel like he's not going to go anywhere until he notices that he can be just as good as Musashi. But he needs to apply himself. And that it's not about glory and riches and fame. It's about basically doing it for the passion. Now, as far as another thing that I like about Vagabond is that the bad guys are not always bad. The good guys are not always good. This is not always a black and white thing. And a lot of the conflicts that go on in Vagabond, there is clear reasons and motives on both sides. And a lot of these conflicts, both sides have justifiable reasons for what they do, in my opinion. Um, Also, another thing that I like about Vagabond, I'm just going on a whole little tirade, but what I like about Vagabond as well is that the training and the fighting styles in it completely differ from other martial arts manga in its genre. And we see Musashi train out in nature, and we see Musashi or Takezo do his own thing. He isn't following some strict sword school or sword style or technique of fighting. Musashi goes with his own practical flow. And we see other swordsmen and other martial artists in the manga do the same thing. A lot of them have their own fighting styles, and a lot of them also alter and adapt it to the situations. And they also combine and integrate other fighting styles or other techniques and mechanics from other people that they have fought into their own fight styles. So we see Musashi evolve, but he also holds his own unique style. And I think like the art style of Vagabond is it's very I'd say it's like very it's not completely movie like Aisha's Secret, and it's not completely crisp or straight like Wolf Guy is, nor does it have like a comedic type of subtlety to it like Sunken Rock does. Like Sunken Rock pulls off these incredibly detailed panels, but at the same time, it's mostly funny, and it also has a lot of sexual stuff in it from time to time. But Vagabond is just serious, it's strict, it's detailed, and it also has a classic feel to its art style and artwork. And I feel like with Vagabond, unlike a lot of other martial arts manga in its genre, Vagabond focuses on delivering a philosophical message with every couple of chapters that you read. It's not just about fighting the next strongest guy, then getting stronger or going to a new level. It's basically, learning more about the way the world works, the way people work, and you get a message and you learn something from reading Vagabond. You learn something from each chapter, and as Musashi develops and as his mind changes, your mind also changes and your perception also changes. And that's what I like about Vagabond, because I don't only read it for the sword fights and the action and the artwork. I also read it for like the message and the philosophy that it tries to get across. Now, as far as critiques of Vagabond, my critique isn't about the manga itself. It's about the characters in the manga, because in that time period and in the context of the manga, honor and respect and all this other type of stuff is this heavily inflated thing in there. And a lot of people have died in this manga because of this notion of honor and how you have to die for it. A lot of people have fought Musashi over honor, and for a lot less justifiable reasons. A lot of people have been slaughtered because they were too arrogant to let go of their pride and admit or just let Musashi off the hook and go. And so we see this in a lot of conflicts and a lot of fights and a lot of situations in Vagabond where Musashi isn't intentionally trying to start crap, where Musashi isn't intentionally trying to be disrespectful, but a lot of people that he faces are arrogant or prideful, and they cling to this notion of honor, even if it means self-destruction of the whole sword school or something like that. But it's just beyond that. That whole chapter with the sword school was just insane. It was insane that they would destroy themselves for the sake of honor, for the sake of trying to redeem their school's name. And it just to me seemed like a pointless conflict. They literally threw dozens and dozens and dozens of swordsmen at Musashi for really, in my opinion, baseless reasons. But this is VM. I really like Vagabond. Also, another reason I recommend reading it is this thing is 300 plus chapters in, and each chapter is pretty long in itself. So if you are in for a good read and you don't want a manga that you can easily catch up on and that you have a lot of reading to go through, Vagabond is definitely it. I'm pretty much 200 or so chapters in, but like, comment, share, subscribe. Bye. Also, what other mangas do you personally like and that do you want me to talk about? Also, I'm going to leave a link to my Facebook page in the description. Like and follow that for updates.